Welcome to Digital Procurement World 2021. My name's Phil Fersht, the CEO, Chief Analyst at HFS Research, and joining me today is Joel Hyatt, who's the Chairman, Co-Founder, and CEO of AI-powered platform and marketplace Globality for the buying and selling of services. So welcome, Joel.
Thanks, Phil. It's great to be with you today and with your audience.
One of the key topics today is looking at environmental social governance, or ESG, and how procurement can play a pivotal role in driving this impactfully throughout the organization. So I'd love to hear maybe your perspective on ESG, Joel, and how procurement can steer the ship.
Sure. Well, procurement has always been asked to deliver on the core value proposition of high quality suppliers at a good price. But today, increasingly, and this is the start of something that I think is quite important, procurement's being asked to help advance the company's ESG strategy. And that strategy today is far more important than it's ever been before. As you said, Phil, CEOs are not only talking about it, they've done that for a while. They actually care a lot about performing against their stated ESG strategy. And they care about that because it turns out that everyone they worry about cares about that in a real way today, including their investors and shareholders and their employees and their customers. And so now it's not just what's the rhetoric of your ESG strategy, but what's your performance against that strategy. And procurement's being asked to help, which makes a lot of sense because the biggest asset a company has to advance its ESG agenda is how it spends its money. And so in addition to the core value proposition, now there's a second component of what procurement needs to deliver, and that's value to the ESG agenda. And let me quickly say that sophisticated technology, AI-powered digitalization, makes a huge difference in being able to add value to both components. And we at Globality look at those two components now, what procurement's being asked to do, and we put it all under a framework that we call performance spending. Procurement's increasingly going to be evaluated on how much it's contributing to the impact of the core value proposition and how much it's contributing to the advancement of the ESG strategy. And with sophisticated technology, the impact that procurement can have is far greater than it has traditionally had. And so we think it's a very exciting time to be in the procurement industry.
So how can procurement leaders lead this charge, really lead this change and put it into practice in their own companies? And what stopped them doing this before, Joel?
I talk with a lot of chief procurement officers, and for the most part, I would say many of them know exactly how to create and lead this change, and they want to do it. Not all of them, and there are reasons why they might not want to seize this opportunity and the challenge it represents, because change management is hard and transformational innovation is tough. But, I hear chief procurement officers say that they want a seat at the table. And I think what they really mean by that is they want to be empowered to go forward and create this change. They know how to do it, but they don't feel empowered to go do it. And I think, again, that this framework of performance spending and understanding the impact that AI-powered digitalization can bring to their ability to lead this change is critical. And I try to explain to CPOs, look, you now have the ability to deliver to the company what no one else in the company can do. We concentrate on sourcing and procurement of services and bringing sophisticated technology to doing that so much better than the traditional ways. If you're a big global company and you spend $6 billion a year on services, like many of our customers do, you can walk into the CFO and say, I've got $1 billion for you. You can take it to the bottom line or reinvest it elsewhere. I've got it in cost savings. I've got it in capturing enormous efficiencies, OPEX savings, and faster speed to market. And that's what technology can do. And then you can walk down to the hall of the CEO and say, I can have a bigger impact on this company's ESG strategy than anyone simply by putting a lot more effort into how our company spends its money. Because in how we spend the money, we can have a huge impact on sustainability, on inclusion, on creating more inclusive economies, on governance by having an ecosystem that's transparent, that's fair, it's open to all on the merits. These are things we can do that are procurement-led. And when you talk about the performance spending and how you want to be evaluated by the CFO and the CEO and what you can bring to that table as you pull your seat up, it is powerful. And it will create the mandate for change that is what I think CPOs believe they lack. They now have the tools to go get it and to, in fact, be critical players in company performance against both key components of performance spending.
Well, so as procurement takes a more dynamic role in impact spending, how do you think the role of procurement is going to change over the next couple of years, maybe 3, 4, 5 years even?
I think it can become the hot place within companies. You know, traditionally companies have been all focused on their revenues and growth, and everybody's been guided toward that aspect of the strategy. You know, profits is an equation that has only two factors. One's revenue and the other is expenses. And, you know, in most companies, 90+% of what comes in the door as revenues goes out as expenses. And as procurement can demonstrate the value that it brings to sourcing and procuring in a modern way, not traditional way, the sourcing and procurement of all that expense item, it's going to become much more of a focus of how a company successfully achieves both its core value propositions and its ESG strategy. I think CPOs are going to have a seat at the table, and I think procurement's going to become a very exciting place for employees to want to be, because it's within procurement that companies can actually help create a better world, can actually help create more environmental sustainability, can actually create more inclusive economies, can actually create better, transparent, compliant governance. And by expanding the definition of what ESG is to that larger meaning, procurement's going to be empowered to go make that happen. You know, Phil, ESG used to be pretty simple. The E was really about a company's own carbon footprint, its own environmental practices. And the S was about the diversity of its workforce. And the G was really about simple compliance measures. But today, it's much broader. The E is about not only the environmental impact of the company itself, but of its supply chain, complex, sophisticated, takes lots of technology to actually bring value to achieving what E stands for in that rubric. Same with S. S isn't just about the diversity of your workforce, but about how you're helping foster social inclusion, creating more inclusive economies in the 100+ countries that most of the audience operates in today. And the G is not just about internal compliance, but what kind of ecosystem are you creating for the conduct of business globally? And is it transparent? Is it fair? Is it open on the merits of price and quality and performance and passion? Is it inclusive for smaller companies? These are the things that procurement can now not only be asking, but delivering to one of the key components that every CEO today is really focused on.
I think before the pandemic, our research showed that ESG was about number 15 on the list of corporate priorities, and now it's number 3. So it's fantastic to hear from you the role that procurement can take in really spearheading this charge. So I really learned something in the last 10 minutes or so, Joel, and I look forward to talking to you more. And any of you folks out there want to learn more, go to globality.com to learn about not just procurement AI, but the role of procurement in general in the future. So back to the agenda for DPW, and thanks for your time, Joel.
Thank you, Phil. Pleasure being with you.